Dieser Podcast wird unterstützt von Dragonflip. Dragonflip ist der führende Broker für E-Commerce-Brands. Dragonflip gibt dir Zugang zu über 2000 Investoren für deine Brands, sodass du am Ende den besten Käufer, den höchsten Preis und die besten Terms für deinen Exit erzielst. Und jetzt viel Spaß beim Podcast. Moin zusammen und willkommen zu einer neuen Folge von Exit2Go. Today we have another episode in English. We have a very special guest today. We have Stephen Pope on today's show. Stephen Pope, founder of the My Amazon Guy, and I would even say Stephen is becoming a little celebrity in the Amazon space.
You're too kind. Thanks, Dustin.
You're welcome. So I'm very happy to have you here. Just talked to Steve that following through all your courses, following through your content, I was blown away like 2-3 years ago on what kind of speed you guys putting out content, and yeah, the success speaks for itself. I'm not sure. Tell me, how many employees My Amazon Guy right now has?
We are coming up on 300, and we're in 13 different countries: Philippines, Pakistan, United States, Mexico, Canada, and even some in the European area, including Spain. So yeah, we're on a mission to educate the world on how to sell on Amazon. That's our mission.
That's good. 300. That's a good number. I mean, when did you start with My Amazon Guy? I mean, it was like 2-3 years ago, no?
Four years ago. I didn't do any outbound outreach, any outbound sales of any kind until basically January of 2022. And that's because my ability to market is stronger than my operations ability. I think I'm a pretty good operator, but I'm a dang good marketer. And so we've had lots of referrals and inbound, and all I did was just make video content on YouTube and make some LinkedIn posts. And so it just really resonates. I just tell it straight as it is. I used to be a television reporter, and so people would make this long form 60-minute content about their YouTube masterclass. And I was just like, I'm just going to make lots of 3 to 5 minute clips. Here's exactly how to fix this problem, go. And that's how it happened.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how, I don't know, maybe already like over 1,000 videos are finally on YouTube, I think,
We
right?
just crossed 1,000, big number.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Perfect. Stephen, everyone who's following you probably already recognized that you are pretty damn good at Amazon SEO, and that's the topic which I would like to talk about today. I was thinking about 7 hacks for Amazon sellers, which they maybe can implement right now, but maybe also kind of a long-term strategy which come to your mind when Amazon SEO. So yeah, let's dive into it. First point, what would you say? What should everyone doing when it comes to Amazon SEO?
Well, first of all, everybody's doing it wrong, right? Like Amazon SEO is like teenage sex. Everybody thinks they know how to do it. Everybody thinks everybody else is doing it, but nobody really is doing it, and nobody's doing it correctly. So that's the first point. You have to understand that like all of the SEO tools, they also don't understand how Amazon's SEO works, right? And I'm not just talking about like the algorithm. I'm talking about functional, in the weeds, tactical. Here's 2 examples. First one, your search term field on Amazon. All of the SEO tools have told you to put in 250 characters. Here's the problem. That's false. It's actually 250 bytes. And the difference between a character and a byte, as far as Amazon is considered, is spacing and syntax. And so if you don't understand that you can actually put in 20% more SEO juice into your search term field, this one hack just upgraded your SEO 20%. If you were using Helium 10, Jungle Scout, or any other SEO tool on the market, they all told you, use their tool, 250 characters. And that is false. It's actually 250 bytes. And you can prove this yourself. There's 2 ways. First of all, read the Amazon SEO help file. Very easy to do so. And second, just go type in random characters into your search term field until you get the red error message, and it will say 250 bytes. And do not exceed that. And then all of the spaces, they don't count towards that, which is why you can get an extra 20% in there. So that's the kind of the first thing people misunderstand. The second tip I'll give you is about A+ content. Now, this is a fight. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's quickly jump to the first one, because the crazy thing is, in Germany, or I would say in Europe, this was actually, I wouldn't say known for a longer time, but because of, I don't know how you say it in English, but it's called Umlaute in Germany, when you have like letters with 2 dots on top.
Yes.
Like
those count as multiple bytes.
Right, exactly. So the German like people start to understand, wait, these letters are counted differently. So we started to look at it, I would say like 2 years ago already, but I think what a lot of people just don't do is look at the spaces. So that's a very, very good point, which you mentioned. So don't look only on the Umlaute in Germany, but also on the spaces. So you have much, much more space. And the crazy thing is, you have just talked about it in your course as well. And I've just checked our search term field, and I just realized, oh fuck, we have some space left for more words. So yeah, pretty good point.
And by the way, I think that German word is the same in English, Umlaut, or something similar to that.
Umlaut, okay.
Yeah. All right, so second tip, your A+ content indexes. I can't believe how many people still argue with me about this in 2022. I won this debate 3 years ago, at least 3 years ago. And this debate is super easy for anybody at home who's still unbelieving, right? There's going to be at least one guy listening to this. He's like, Stephen Pope doesn't know what he's talking about. A+ content doesn't index. Well, for that one guy listening right now, here's how you can prove me right. Go put in Spanish behind one photo's alt text, and it will index in under 48 hours. So if you're in the German market, use Spanish. If you're in the UK market, test it with German for all I care, right? Wherever it is you sell, test a different language. It will index in under 48 hours, proving A+ content indexes. And why does this matter? Well, if A+ content indexes, that means you need to put in a lot more text and effort into the SEO of A+ content. It's not just simply make a beautiful design and hire the designer who's going to make great aesthetics. That is not the best practice. Design and SEO need to be married at the altar, and they need to connect. And if they don't connect, then you're missing out on half of the value. I will even go on record and say this: SEO traffic is 10 times more important than conversion. And I'm in the minority on this, but I'm also the world leader in Amazon SEO as far as I'm considered. And I got to tell you, here's how I measure that. It's 10 times easier to double your traffic than it is to double your conversion rate. So if you use that extrapolation and apply it to A+ content, it translates as follows. Put 500 words of copy, crawlable text, into your A+ content. That means text, not in an image, but crawlable for the robots. This will make your listing feel ugly. It will bloat it up. It won't look as good on mobile. All of these are facts. But on a 10-to-1 ratio, accept those facts and allow your listing to grow up and get traffic. So that's tip number 2.
Actually, I just want to come back to this one because everyone is posting like their certificates currently on LinkedIn, right? And then you also like kindly ask what's your favorite part about the course, right? And this was actually my favorite takeaway from the SEO course about the crawlable text, because I didn't realize that, like, because like, everyone is doing currently the banner over banner, banner over banner over banner, right? And they don't have this crawlable text. And then like
that's what happens when you put a designer in charge of your SEO.
Exactly. And then like this module was for me the favorite one to see. It still can look nice because you have shown some example how it still look very like fancy, let's say it this way, but still implement a lot of text, crawlable text, and get even more traffic or more index keywords. So yeah, very, very good point.
And by the way, for those listening that doesn't know what Dustin's talking about on the courses, we released all of our trade secrets, many of which we're covering in this podcast, but in detail with certification quizzes to test your competency at mag-school.com, mag-school.com. You can buy our SEO course for $10 10
That's
USD.
cheap.
And that is dirt cheap considering all of the supposed Amazon experts out there selling courses for like $1,000 or $2,000. And it's part of my mission. I led with that when I started the podcast. I want to educate the world on how to sell on Amazon. That is my mission. So that's why it's dirt cheap.
Exactly. Yeah. So we will also link this up in the show notes. The course.
So SEO tip number 3. If A+ content indexes, put in 100 characters per photo for the alt text. And it is characters in this case instead of bytes, which is part of the confusion, I'm sure. But those 100 characters of alt text will index, will help you out, and you should put in cross translations to other languages because that's the best place to put them when you don't want them to be front-facing on the listing to confuse your local market. So tip number 3, super easy, 100 characters per alt text of a photo. Tip number 4, do not set SEO and forget it. This will take a little bit of time to explain this tip. So a lot of people are like, oh, I set my SEO up in 2017 and I haven't looked at it since then, right? I know there's a few guilty people listening to this saying, yep, that's me, but they don't know what to do. Here is what you do. You need to continuously optimize your SEO. At My Amazon Guy, we run 4 phases of SEO. We do the research, we create a master keyword list, and then we index for as many keywords as possible. That's phase 1. Phase 2, it's incremental indexing. We used to use what's called the pink word update, but they just got rid of that in the United States here about 3 weeks ago when they upgraded to the search query report. But in short, the whole purpose of phase 2 was to incrementally index for keywords that are already in your title and bullets, pull them out of your search term field because they're no longer required. Amazon is factoring in the search term field as additional ways to index for keywords so you can safely slough those out. But the reason we include them in phase 1 is because when you're first launching a product, it indexes faster to include them in the search term field and the title and bullets. So that's phase 1 and 2. Phase 3 is very unique and different. This is where you look at the strike zone of keywords in rank 20 through 50, and try and focus on them. And you're going to duplicate those words exact match in as many locations as possible. A little bit of keyword stuffing in this phase, modestly. But the whole point of this phase is to take keywords that are in the strike zone at rank 20 through 50 and push them up to the top 10 because they're currently not producing much, but with minimal effort, they will. So you're going to put it into your A+ content, your titles, your bullets, your search term field, and you're going to create PPC campaigns with the sole purpose of SEO gains. All of that is SEO phase 3. SEO phase 4, this is our newest phase, and we just launched this a couple weeks ago when the search query report came out. This search query report is phenomenal. I call it the market share phase. And that's because Amazon is giving you keyword data on your brand and showing you just how much traffic is available for your keyword. It tells you what the search volume is with actual numbers instead of the estimates that most of the SEO tools use. It gives you the impression brand share. It gives you the click brand share, the add to cart brand share, and the purchase brand share. Those are 4 facts and details we've never had before on a keyword basis. Huge amount of data dump. I cannot emphasize enough how awesome this data report is. I'll give you one example of how this could be used. So I sell some sage smudge kits. Okay, so it's like white sage, you light it on fire, incense kind of thing. I'm not the target audience. I just sell it. I have a daughter. Her name's Sage. She's 3. I thought it would be cool to name some brands after my kids and then let them inherit them someday. That was the idea. So I'm clueless about why anybody would buy sage smudge kits. I have no idea. Cleansing your house or something. I don't know. Don't get it. That's all right. But when I looked at the market share report, I noticed that people were buying my product instead of somebody's candles that were sage scented. And what's really cool is I only had a 4% market share on a keyword that wasn't in my listing on a keyword that doesn't even apply to my product, but my conversion rate was through the roof. And I was like, that's really interesting. Why is that? And I was able to ascertain this because in the search query report, if you have a percentage of impression share at 4% day one, but then the add to carts is at like 8 or 10%, and the purchasers is at 15 or 20%, what does that tell you? That tells you have a traffic opportunity. And this is going to take a second to sit in, but you'll understand it as I go along. Well, essentially, if your conversion rate improves as it gets farther down the funnel, that means you should put more traffic onto the listing. And if you do that, your conversion rate will slow down a little bit, but overall, you'll be making bank. Vice versa. If you have a high impression share, but by the time you get down the funnel, your add to carts and your purchases are like a third or a fourth of what your impression share is, that means the reverse, that you have a conversion problem. Here you guys thought we were going to talk about SEO today, but here we're talking about traffic, conversion, and how all of these things tie together. With the Sage Smudge Kits, I looked at this and I said, here's a keyword with 4,000 search volume, and I have 4% market share and a 20% add to cart. What the heck? This is a traffic opportunity. So what did I do? I changed my A+ content to add an exact match of the keyword, and I created a bunch of PPC campaigns. 4 weeks later, I now have 20% of the impression share, up from 4%. And my purchase conversion rate went up from 20% to 25%. Because all I did was add the phrase found in the search query report and drove a bunch of traffic and converted more because the word now showed up. Even though my product is not even a candle, this candle keyword, I'm crushing it on.
Quick excursus. When you say you try, I mean, it's first you just have to you have to find these search term, but when you start to push them, when you start you're in phase 3, you push these keywords. What do you do exactly? You put these words, take them in exact PPC campaigns, or how do you track the pushing? When does the pushing start for you? When does it end?
It depends on the volume of the keyword, but essentially, from my experience, if you put in some minimal effort, you will see the results within 7 to 14 days. So the question is, did the result work? If it did, can you double down? If so, double down and double check, right? And then check it on a weekly basis. So this very much turns it on its head with this concept of set it and forget it SEO versus continuous optimization. You wouldn't put $20,000 on a PPC campaign and never optimize the bids. But that's exactly what people are doing with their SEO. They're undervaluing it. PPC costs are up 35%. The real inflation rate is like 25%. None of this bullcrap 8% US government bullhud, right? Like it's significantly higher than that. And so if all this is true, then you need to invest your money where it's going to have a longer term effect, betting long on your inventory, betting long on your product. And there's never been a better time to invest in search engine optimization.
So the period doesn't really, you cannot really say it ends after 30, 60 days. So it really depends how hard you want to go. So when you see, okay, I'm moving up in the rankings, you can say, okay, I'm fine with, let's say, organic 15 or maybe 10. I'm slowing down again on PPC, but maybe you will go even higher and say, okay, I want to push it even up to the top 5, and that's just a budget question then.
It is a budget question, but it's also a question of like, hey, you put it in as an exact match into the listing. You've spent 10% of your PPC budget on it. Did you achieve the results you're looking for? And are you converting? Are you making sales? If so, you made a good decision. Keep doing it. Do more of it. But if not, the same thing as you would with a PPC campaign. Pull it back. Focus on something else. Rotate to the next keyword, right? So for example, with my Sage Smudge Kits, a lot of Spanish people are purchasing that in the United States. And so I actually right now have Spanish in my US-based title. 4 Spanish words in my US-based title. I don't know of anybody else that does this. And I'm selling 1,500 sets on just one of my SKUs. I sell like 3,000 or 4,000 smudge kits overall per month. And so like I'm doing on a high velocity test right now. I've got hundreds of reviews, no complaints. It's working. And so like you got to understand that sometimes what we're doing with text is not for the human, it's for the robot. And the robot rewards you by sending more humans. And more humans means more traffic, which means more sales and conversions, which is why I focus on the robots.
I think that's general a very interesting point, because what we German Amazon FBA sellers hear most of the time from US guys, you really have kind of a Spanish audience which you can also apply on, and then we just like, okay, that's not applying to me. But I think we German sellers can also think about English audiences, which is, I think, also there. It will depend on the market, but there's, because I've already found a few keywords for my products which are just English and they have search volume. So maybe it's not Spanish in Germany, but it will be maybe
English. Yes. Yeah, I've been advertising in the European market for like a decade, and even though I speak not a lick of German, I'm able to use the tools and advertise in it. And what I end up doing is I'll advertise in both English, then I'll use Google Translate to German. I'm not saying this is perfect or best practice, and a German native speaker is going to beat me, but because of the tools that we have available, I can optimize within probably 5 business days and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And so you just keep doubling down where it works. Same thing with SEO. You just keep experimenting and see what works. All right, so tip number 5, customer questions on a listing. Now, this tip is not earth-shattering, but how many of you are actually going through your listings on a, I don't know, monthly basis and answering customer questions? And I'm not talking about like emails. I'm talking about the actual Q&A on the listing. Well, why would this matter? Well, as it turns out, I have a client that sells rope, and this rope client had a weird question come in. And the question was how to tie a slip knot on a person in the bedroom. Well, what happened was from this question is it actually flipped the product to the adult category. Even though there's nothing adult about selling rope, because the customer used the rope how they wanted to use the rope, that's fine. Like, don't tell the customer they're wrong. It made the product flip to the adult category off of a question. So if that's possible, what does that tell us? That means the robots are reading the questions, which means the robots are reading the answers. So although this field is arguably one of the smallest SEO tips, go in and add keywords to the questions and answers on an Amazon listing.
I think that's a very smart move. I don't think a lot of people are doing that. I mean, there are also like the debate which part of the listing has the most important juice for the ranking, right? Everyone agrees on the title, but it would be interesting to know how much that would increase the ranking juice for specific keywords. I think it's very, very smart, because of course you can push some questions, you can do that. It's very, very smart just to think about the keywords when you start to answer these questions, right? I think, because I've never done it. I've just like, I'm answering it, yes, but I've never thought about it. Okay, how can I implement maybe phrases, maybe long-term keywords in these answers? So yeah.
So you can use various tools, I think like bagels.io and a few other tools. You can download the questions to see which ones don't have an answer yet, or you could manually go look at them and just focus on your highest performing listings first. Yeah. All right, 6th tip. This one's more of a framework tip for you. Keyword ratios, SEO to PPC. How many keywords should you index for versus advertise on? I believe that the ratio should be 1 to 2. 1 PPC keyword for every 2 organic listing keywords. And if you're out of whack on that ratio, that tells you one of 2 things. If you have too much advertising and not enough organic keywords, go focus on SEO. If you have too few PPC keywords on and you're organically indexed just fine, you're leaving sales on the table and should spend more on PPC. 1 to 2 ratio, 1 PPC keyword for every 2 organic keywords. And I've come to that ratio based on looking at thousands and thousands of listings. Certain categories might be a little bit different here and there for sure, but by and large, that framework or template has checked out very well for me.
Okay, when you say the PPC ratio, because I'm just thinking about, okay, because it's a difference, right? When I start a PPC broad campaign or PPC exact campaign, do you treat this word still as one PPC ratio, or is it like, is it a different approach then to you when you have exact or broad keywords or campaigns?
Well, so here's the thing about broad match keywords. They have a massive impact on ranking for specific exact match keywords as well. So I'll give you an example product. I sell a mom gift box and sell it for $50 USD on the US market. I sold $144,000 USD in 4 weeks with this product. And I had a single product review when I launched it. And I launched it right before Mother's Day. I spent $11,000 on PPC during that 4-week time period last year. Of that $11,000, $5,000 of it was spent on one single keyword: broad match gifts for mom. It helped me index the product for 4,000 keywords in less than 4 weeks. And I crushed it, absolutely crushed it. It was a fantastic launch, probably the best I've ever had of a product that I've personally owned. Now, that's the good news. Here's the bad news. Economy's really bad right now, and this product only did $65,000 this Mother's Day. I was super disappointed. So.
Okay, but when you take back the approach, so would that be like one PPC keyword for you with the ratio of the 4,000 index organic keyword, or because that's the point I don't really getting, like how do you count the 1-to-2 ratio?
So I use a tool called Helium 10 with Cerebro, and inside of the tool you can type your ASIN in, and it'll tell you how many keywords you're advertising on and how many keywords you're indexed on, and keep the index to advertised ratio accordingly.
Get it. No, I get it.
All right. Our 7th and final tip today. This is the Amazon brand story module. And this has been out since February, but at least half the people listening right now have no idea what I'm talking about. The brand story module is the new A+ content module. Super easy to build. It allows you to do a few things. Add more content to your listing that indexes. You can add your story about how you created the brand, like mine, for example, with Sage. Oh, I just really wanted to give back to my daughter in 20 years from now and whatever, right? And on and on and on. The other thing you can do in the A+ content module called the brand story is link to more products. So it's like having an extra product module which cross-links your products. Well, what happens when somebody goes from your product page to the other product page inside of your brand? Frequently bought together starts populating, and you get defensive inventory placement or allocation on the detail page. I don't know about you, but the last time I went and counted how many different rabbit holes are on an Amazon detail page, it's more than a freaking 100, right? Like on your own Shopify website, you want to have the most minimalistic detail page. Here's a paragraph of text, maybe 5 bullet points, and here's an add to cart button and nothing else. But on Amazon, the opposite is true. You have all of these competing noisy advertisements showing up everywhere, including Amazon cheating its own products onto your detail page on top of that. So why does this matter? How do you combat that? Take as much space up as humanly possible across all of your listings. Take up giant photos in the A+ content. Put in 500 words of copy like we talked about. Take up as much space as possible, add to your brand story, because that is real estate that you do not lose to a competing product, which means your conversion rate goes up and you make more money.
Very, very good. A+ brand story, you're talking about the part above the A+ content, right?
I am.
Yeah, perfect. All right.
Yeah, it's considered part of A+ content technically, but it resides above the description field. There is a nice line that separates the two.
So even more space to stuff in keywords, and I
It
think
is.
there also space for alternative text? Is there also
Yes,
like
each photo you load in any A+ content module can have 100 characters of alt text. So it's additional locations. Even the product grid module, right? So keep in mind, I have about, I think, 15 different photos in my brand story, which sounds excessive, but that's not, because we have multiple columns and rows of products that we're linking to. And each of those photos is unique with its own alt text. So just really awesome ways to program the algorithm in your favor, shall we say.
All right, perfect. I think we have some 7 amazing ways how to really stuff somehow keywords into your listing and stuff in a way that does not annoy the customer. So yeah, let us just quickly summarize all the 7 tips. So first we had the
Hope you
search
were
and
writing
field.
them down, because I wasn't.
Yeah, I have them. We have the 250 bytes for the search term field. Take care of the spaces which are not counted. We have the index crawlable A+ content. So don't only, because I think this is like a very, very common currently, just like put banner over banner over banner. Try to use maybe 1 or 2 modules with some text, because the text is getting indexed. If not, put in some Spanish keywords even in German listings, and you will find out. Also still A+ content. Third tip, the alternative text. Put in up to 100 characters into the alternative text. These are characters, right? Not bytes on this side. And point number 4, do not set and forget your SEO. We've talked about the 4 phases. Also think about pushing specific keywords. Point number 5, which was completely new to me, the point was the questions. So when you're answering questions on Amazon, try to put in some keywords. Point number 6, the keyword to SEO, the PPC to SEO ratio, 2:1. You can use Helium 10, also in Germany, very, very popular tool. I think it's the most popular tool in the world, I would even say, for Amazon sellers. And point number 7, brand story, 1 module more to stuff in keywords. I think we have some 7 very, very nice ways to get a better SEO. Steven, thank you so much for having you. Where can people reach out to you if they are interested in first maybe getting consultant from the My Amazon Guy? As you said, you are already consultant. You also consult
more than 250 brands at myamazonguy.com. But even if you don't want to hire us, just go check us out. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube, youtube.com/myamazonguy. We put out more than 1,000 videos so far.
Exactly.
So many, hundreds and hundreds of videos on just how to troubleshoot all of your catalog problems, brand stories, all of the brand registry issues, PPC tips and tricks, and all kinds of things. Even watch my designers and how they make A+ content. The list goes on and on. And don't forget mag-school.com as well. If you want to get some of our trade secrets, we give them out basically for free right there. So hope you guys check us out.
Yeah, we will link it up. Steven, thank you so much for having you.
Thank you, Dustin.
See you next time. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.